So this
Yeah.
is the Red Viking and Shell Pop Last of Us podcast. This is our 6th episode.
Woo.
Today we are talking about episode 8. And so with that, um, let's see. I'm trying to remember how it all starts. Really, I think if I remember, one of the first things it starts off with is you see the character David reading
Mhm.
scripture, and I don't remember which scripture he was reading, but he's
Okay.
reading.
Yeah, what I had was he was reading Revelations, but I don't recollect what chapter and verse is he was reading off. But I just remember
Yeah,
it's Revelations for sure.
yeah. So he's reading Revelations. It's also mostly about God will protect you and everything, and ultimately, like, you know I'll probably go into it later, uh, but really David has a lot of control over these people. They,
Yeah.
whether they they do not question him, and you see in how he does everything, they trust him, and they're not willing to they're not willing to question him in any way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
I don't know. Did you see it that same way, or?
Yeah, I did. Because it's after this scene, but there's one part where James
Uh huh.
has a conversation that he's having with him outside of this lodge that they're in. And I remember the one thing that said is, "Are you doubting me?" In which James responded, "No, no, I'm not doubting you," kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that does pop up a few times in this episode. It's definitely a recurring theme is the trust and doubt, really, with what they're doing.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
yeah.
I definitely saw it that way, and I thought that he also loved being in control. So
Yes.
we could
Yeah.
talk about that more later on in the episode because there's a great scene with that where I was like, "Ooh, you're you're nasty, right?"
Yeah.
Um,
No, so yeah, like you kind of get from it that okay, well they're talking. The one girl is angry that her dad was killed. Like, I want these people dead, whatever. She's angry, and he has to calm her down.
yeah.
Kind of, which is good at the same time that he calms her down.
Hmm.
But and then the other thing that you get is they're running low on food.
Yeah. Yeah. They have like a week, two tops.
Yeah, which goes into some other things that we can cover later in the episode, or
Yeah.
in this. Um, and then, so yeah, but yeah, this is the first time you see Troy Baker, who is
Yeah.
James.
It was awesome.
It took a second for I'm like, is that him? Like, oh yeah, that's Troy Baker.
Troy
Um,
Baker is taller and skinnier than I thought he would be.
yeah,
Definitely a lot skinnier than I thought he would be. But yeah, I swear, unless all the actors around him were fairly short, the dude looked like he's like 6'3" or 6'4" or something like a.
yeah. I don't know. He is definitely, like, yeah, definitely taller than most people in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
As my grandma put it, he's a string bean.
yeah.
So
Um, so they go from there. Now it goes to Joel. He's still sick. Um,
yeah, yeah. He's got an infection now. So
yeah,
even though Ellie in the previous episode was able to sew him up and did a great job with that, it
yeah,
was still a matter of the dude's been impaled by a broken baseball bat. So chances are you're going to have some bad infection with the wood, with the fact that you're out in the freezing cold. Like
yeah,
it's you're not in any sort of like sterile environment to heal from such a bad thing happening to you. But yeah, he was starting to run a fever. You know, we would see Ellie put the back of her hand onto Joel's forehead to kind of feel his temperature, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he wasn't too good. He was still kind of like in and out of consciousness a little bit, it seemed. Um, but yeah. So she was trying to like fend for them because he wasn't really eating or drinking or doing any of that kind of stuff, and they're holed up in this house, and as far as they knew at the time, out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of winter. So
Yeah. And so that's when she grabs his gun. And like as I kind of said to you, like in my notes I sent to you, like this goes very much in line with the game. Except for, did she have the rifle, or I kept thinking
it's
it
like
was a
a
bow.
yeah, bow. Yeah.
In the game she has a bow, in this she has a rifle. Um yeah, the rabbit gets away. The rabbit does not get away in the game.
Hmm.
Um and then she sees the deer, and this is one thing that I picked up listening to the official podcast with Craig, Neil, and Troy, is she learned from Joel, breathe out when you shoot. I think. Yeah, it was breathe out and then shoot. And you see her actually do
That's
that.
cool.
And so, it goes into that thing that, they're kind of pushing. Ellie's smart.
Hmm.
Ellie's picks up. But Ellie also, like they've kind of said it, she wants to be self sufficient like Joel.
Mm,
And so that's why she's like, Joel, teach me to hunt, and Joel, teach me to shoot, and Joel, teach me to do this and that. It's because she sees him as very self sufficient.
yeah. I
And
mean, he is, but yeah, it's cool.
um and so like that was an interesting thing, and I thought, it is something that I like. Ellie's character, Bella Ramsey, I think she's doing an excellent job with this.
Yeah, I would say
um
so. She's doing good enough of a job where it's funny. I really love both of them, um,
yeah.
the actor and the actress, how well they're doing portraying these iconic characters. And Bella Ramsey is doing such a good job that when I was taking a look at getting like part one, because I'm still looking at it, I'm still thinking about it, I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Yeah, I
And the show's gonna
understand.
be done, and I'll be like, did I do it? Did I actually save like 30, $40? But anyways, seeing Ellie in the video game now, I'm like, she looks so different though. Where it's kind of making it where I'm like, I'm seeing Bella Ramsey as being Ellie now instead of
Um,
Ellie in the video game. However, man, the looks of Pedro Pascal and Joel in The Last of Us are so close where both of them look good enough. Where for me, it's not skipping a beat. But
yeah, Bella Ramsey doesn't look well, and that was the thing when The Last of Us first came out. They kind of said she looked a lot like the Juno, the show Juno. I can't think of.
oh yes, the Canadian actress. I should probably know her name, but I can't off the top of my head. But
I
yeah, I
can't
know who
think
you're
of it.
talking about.
Yeah,
Hold on, I'll look it real quick.
she's gone transgender now,
Ellen
but
Page.
Ellen Page. But Ellie looked like Ellen Page back
That's
then.
true. Yeah.
And the thing that really kind of, I guess, irked a lot of people is there was another game that came out at the time that actually had Ellen Page modeled for it, and then here's The Last of Us coming out at the same, like roughly the same time.
Oh yeah, it was
And
I think it was Beyond Two Souls or something like that.
I believe so. And
Yeah,
so there's that
not a
whole
great game.
controversy, like, well, they used her likeness without her permission for it, and I'm just like, did they do it on purpose? Or, like I kind of look at, like how often do people, cross copyright lines and they don't realize they're actually, they're not doing it on purpose. It was just like, oh, here, this and this and this. And they just start doing it, not realizing that their memory is pulling from that material that, you know,
Yeah.
and so,
Happens quite a bit with musicians as well. It could have been
yeah,
like you heard something one time and then years later come up with a song. You have this guitar riff that you think sounds amazing. And then when your friends comes along and listens to it, it's like, oh, dude, that sounds just like this song over here. And then the artist is like, great. Now I have to start all over again.
I was thinking I was amazing. Apparently, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that I like, is it was Naughty Dog purposely saying, hey, let's, like, or whatever, let's base the scrub to look like Ellen Page, or was it just kind of like,
I
it
think it's
just
coincidence, honestly.
coincidence.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and it's not like I'm really, I don't care in either way. I doesn't really
Hmm.
bother me, but um yeah, so, but she's doing a really good job with it. So I just kind of going off of my notes is she chases the deer after she shoots it because it doesn't just automatically drop it. She
Yeah.
chases it, it dies whatever distance away from her, but David and James actually find that deer first.
Yeah.
Um, so they're kind of like, do we take it? Do we not? If the person that shot it is probably close, like, do we want to
Yeah.
risk that? And which, honestly, good things to be worried about. It's like, obvious
It's
this was shot.
logical. The deer
It's,
did not just shoot itself, kind of thing. So somebody's
like,
got to be out there.
deer didn't suddenly pick up a gun and like, oh, hey, no.
That'd
and
be
and
super scary if they could.
and so it's like, you really look at it like David's not a dumb man, and James himself isn't necessarily stupid. He's not like super intelligent, but he's not dumb either. But
I would say James is kind of like Joel, where James, he will question things a little bit. He will think for himself, but at the same time, if he has someone that's charismatic or just really good with people, James could just kind of be more to do whatever it is that someone else wants him to do.
yeah, he's well, I think that's kind of like, oh gosh, episodes 4 and 5, the guy that the gosh, now I'm spacing his name, that was did Tommy's voice, that was the military guy in the town.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
He was a smart guy, but he wasn't the leader. He was
yeah.
the, like, okay, this is what we're doing, go out and do it. And that's what James is I think he is very capable in what he's doing. He's knowledgeable enough,
Hmm.
but there's something that they never get into, but he trusts David.
Yeah,
Even if he's questioning him in some way, he
yeah, which
he
he
it's
was throughout the entire episode.
but yeah, ultimately he doesn't he has something that, okay, I cannot do this to David. Something holds him back.
Hmm.
And whatever that is, whether it's fear or something, like, yeah, like he
Yeah, I don't know.
he's scared of that. And so, that's kind of an interesting thing. But um, one of the things I thought was funny, and they were talking about it, but if you in the official podcast, but I thought it was like, they purposely did it, that Ellie's holding a real gun, or Bella Page is holding a real gun,
Oh, really?
and
You
it's
know,
heavy.
you know what's so funny with you saying that is when she was pull that gun, and they did the close up of when she's doing the shot and everything. I was like, that's a good looking gun.
Yeah.
So now I
So
know. Okay, it was actually a real one.
it was
Interesting.
a real gun. They're like, obviously it wasn't loaded, but it was a
No,
real
no.
gun because they wanted her to be struggling to hold it. Bella Ramsey
Oh,
was
right,
actually
right, right.
having,
When she's having the conversation with David, right?
yeah, she has to keep kind of like, oh, don't move,
Yeah, and I was
don't
seeing her
move,
like
don't move.
pull her back. Like hoisting it, not using like your proper strength. But okay, she was actually holding a real gun. That's cool.
Yeah. So I thought that, that's really interesting because here's Bella Ramsey, like from what I get, she's tiny.
Yeah.
She's a small person anyway, um,
Hmm.
which makes her good for playing a 14-year-old, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah. She has the body of like a young teenager kind of thing.
and so she
Yeah,
comes out and she has that, has the gun and she's lifting it out, making threats, and like they put down their guns, they walk through, but it's also at this time that um, David very quickly realizes who she is.
yeah,
Um, he knows that she's with Joel, but there's something there that I think he kind of or kind of goes deeper into when they a little bit later. But then the other thing that they like when Ellie's like, I'll give you half the deer if you give me penicillin,
yeah.
um, which isn't too bad of a trade, but
Hmm.
um, that's when James kind of looks at David when David says, "Go and do it." And
Yeah.
he has to clarify to James, that's not code. Go get the
Yeah, I thought that
penicillin.
part was so funny. So funny.
Because like James obviously knows who she is, and so he's thinking, we'll just kill her because
Yeah, how many times did he say that in that episode?
oh yeah,
Like so
multiple
many of them.
times.
Like, let's just kill her. Let's kill this person.
He,
Let's kill that person. It's like,
he
what? Why are we screwing around, kind of thing?
if David hadn't been so like, no, I want her alive, James would have killed her
Oh yeah.
because like he's like, I want to kill her and I want to kill the guy and blah blah blah. He's kind of with them like angry, but it's like
Hmm.
us on the followers side, and this is the interesting thing about The Last of Us, and especially when you get into um, the second game, part two or whatever. But
Hmm.
we're looking at it from one side of things, and they
Hmm.
tried to show you a little bit like, hey, this is the other side of things. We know with Joel, this guy came at Joel, they were trying to rush out, and the guy came at Joel with a bat, and Joel defended himself
Yeah.
and knew that, okay, well, this isn't a safe situation, and and kills the guy. Well,
Hmm.
obviously they, you know, well, the people of the town don't really know that because I don't think the people of the town know of all the little dirty details going on in
Yeah.
the with David. But so anyway, David sends James off to get the penicillin. That's when they sit down and talk.
Hmm.
This is probably a very important time, both in the game and in the show, that David gets to know Ellie. And I'm kind of leading too much, so talking too much. I want you to have some. I need you to have some input. So
Yeah.
what do
No.
you think
No.
about this conversation they had?
The conversation itself, I thought was very telling. Where, like you were alluding to, we start to get the other side of things. So first off, Ellie is still completely not trusting. A few times when they were talking, where they had the dead, I was about to say the horse, but no, the dead deer between the two of them, right? She was telling him like take 10 steps back and all this kind of stuff. Because she is she's on edge, completely on edge at this point. She knows that Joel is not doing good. that he needs medicine, which, yeah, it's the penicillin that, you know, well, yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, when they go, they sit down because David says, "Hey, it's cold out here. Why don't we get some oil and everything? Let's go inside this place, start a fire. We'll be a little bit more warm." Because what David does, his character, is he will be caring, he'll be warm, he'll be attentive to people. But on the inside, every single thing that he's saying, which sounds selfless, which sounds great, because he hides behind this thing while they're having the conversation of being a pastor. He's a good person. He found God after the D-Day
After,
of
yeah,
when
after, yeah, yeah, after the apocalypse.
yeah, which I love Ellie's her views on that, which is like, you found God after all these awful things happen, and then he always talks about how everything happens for a reason, which we'll have a little bit of a recurring thing with that as well later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the conversation was good because you got to see that Ellie is now extremely protective of Joel. She's starting to fend for herself now, but at the same time, she is still a young girl. She's scared. She feels like if she loses Joel, this is it. Like she's on her own, and she's so terrified of dying alone, which we saw a couple episodes ago. So great conversation is but at the end of it, when he finishes the conversation, he says, "Yeah, so this guy died." And the funny thing is, they got the reports that it was a man and a little girl that are traveling together. Which then Ellie is like thinking in her head, like, "Oh crap, this is it. They know where we are, all this kind of stuff."
Yeah.
But they do get the medicine. He falls through with that. And it was so funny because when I'm watching this, I'm like, wait, what happened to the deer? And then we do see that after the conversation, like the next scene or two later. One of those things where like, but that thing weighed like a few hundred pounds. What's going on here?
Well,
but yeah, that was my thought. I thought it was really cool how he went from teacher over to pastor. So he really likes to take care of people. He likes talking to younger kids, kind of thing. Thankfully,
yeah,
he
because he kind of hints that he was a math teacher for kids Ellie's age.
Yes. Yeah, I can't remember how he put it. It's maybe like kids around your age or something like that, or kids that look like you, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And and it's also, I think, kind of important that James has his gun pointed at Ellie at the end of that scene.
Oh yeah, when he enters from the backside of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And David calls him off. Like,
yeah, put your gun down.
Like, we're not going to do this, which ultimately looks, and you notice it later on.
Mm-hmm.
David has plans for Ellie.
Yeah, David is one of those guys where, like I was saying, it comes across as all nice, but he has a hidden agenda. He's always thinking like 5 to 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So really smart guy, and could definitely pick up that Ellie was also quite attentive. She could catch on things fairly quickly.
Yeah. He very much can tell, like, I think they kind of say the smart people in this world can easily pick out the other smart people, because most other people are just survivors where they're more thriving in the world, I guess. I don't know. Or they're usually end up being the leaders.
Yeah. Hey, and the one last thing actually I just thought of now that I want to mention with that conversation, they have, I think it's the second half of the conversation where Ellie's like, so that they do what you tell them to do. Like, you're the leader of them. And he gets this smile on his face, and he tries to play it off for a little bit, but he eventually admits, like, yeah, I'm the leader. Yeah. I tell them what to do, where to go, all this kind of stuff. And you could see from the actor's expressions that he loves this. He loves feeling in control.
Yeah, and that really, goes into, and maybe I'll cover it a little bit more, but yeah, like I have a lot of stuff about, control and power that,
Hmm.
like he's going after that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other people in the world that have control and power.
Hmm.
And ultimately, the problem that he has is what he does with that control and power. But
Yeah.
um, so so we get that Ellie leaves. This is where your knowledge comes in. She gets back to the house. She does not know necessarily how to administer this penicillin. She just knows penicillin gets rid of infections.
Yeah, yeah, should yeah, it is what it is. It was so funny. I tried to turn my brain off for that part, but there was a couple parts where like, man, she's not like the first scene because she administers it, I think twice or three times in the episode. The first
Uh-huh.
scene, at least she like pushes the whole thing in there, which she didn't do it right. You're supposed to do like a slow, gradual push into the stream. But the infection typically the part that kills you is it gets into your bloodstream and goes over and attacks, right?
Yeah.
So typically when you're getting like antibiotics for something, penicillin, whatever, you want to be going through the bloodstream, right? Because it goes through there, and then after that, it gets pushed into like muscles and everything else. So whatever. She just saw like here's the bad site right here in the lower quadrant of your abdomen. I'm gonna stab it right in there because it's close to the site. Whatever, typical. It probably would have gone into like his one of his intestines, probably, or maybe the liver, but whatever. It's fine. Would it
Well,
have worked? Probably not at
and
all, but whatever.
that's where the thing, and they try to really, like, they talk about it. It's like she does not know what she's doing. She's like, where do I put this? Where do I put this? And she's like, dang it, like I'll just put it in the part that's most obvious to me. And
Yeah, where it's like all red and everything. Like obviously this infection's been spreading a little bit. Yeah,
yeah, and
it's fine.
so it's not necessarily like you say I gotta shut off my mind and stop like analyzing this. You have to, like, I would almost say you have to be like, well, I have to come back from this from somebody that does not know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, like put yourself into her shoes. You're panicking. You know that these people know roughly where you are. It's snowing out. So there's going to be like
Yeah,
those little tracks you're going to be able to leave everywhere. So you should be fairly easy to track, which you allude to later on anyway.
yeah,
So it's like, you got to go. You got to move. Things have to happen quickly. So yeah, you're in a state of panic. Where on earth do I stab this guy, right?
yeah.
So
Well, and the person that you very much care about and are taking care of, you're like, they're dying and I need to do something.
yeah, I need to reverse this infection because he's got a fever and
Yeah,
yeah, like I
you
said,
can
he's
tell
he's in and
that
out of it. He's sort of there, but he's not there at all.
yeah, you can
So
tell that's very much her, like, one of her highest priorities is to make sure that he survives. Yeah, it's
yeah.
immediately, it's not like, no, I want the deer, it's I need penicillin.
Hmm.
And that does come from like you look at anybody, like, what is your top priority? That's the first thing that you're going to ask for. It's the first
Yeah.
thing to come to mind.
Yeah, and heck, it's one of the things where with my family anyway, when it comes to say like Thanksgiving or something like that, what are the things that you're thankful for? And be like, my family's health is almost always like one of the things, right? Like
Yeah,
we're all healthy. So if one person's suffering, then everybody's suffering. It's kind of like because Joel is suffering, Ellie's suffering because of that.
yeah. And so yeah, so it's like she's, or he's her first priority, and so, like, everything, and she gives him the penicillin, that the
Hmm.
when she gets back, and then she lays next to him.
Yeah, the scene where she sort of falls asleep on his chest, and then he like slowly moves his head to kind of rest it on hers. I was like, oh, my heart is so full. This is
Yeah,
a beautiful moment. Absolutely.
And I think it really is that growing moment, and it's been over a little bit of time. They don't say how much time, but it's like when Joel, when they were with Tommy and his wife,
Hmm.
when Joel says, "I'm taking her the rest of the way," when he meets him at the stable and says, "Ellie, I'll give you the choice. Do you want to go with me?" Like that's him at that moment saying, "I'm willing to play dad." Like
Right.
this is a daughter to me. That's him saying that. And
Yeah.
obviously, Ellie was extremely excited to be able to
Hmm.
be like, "Yep, we're good." Like there, there's no
Yep.
hesitation. It's just like, "Yep, I'm here with Joel. I'm going with Joel. I'm happy." Like she's happy. She's ecstatic about that. And so now
Yeah.
she's
Yeah. She keeps
she's
on having fun.
and so
Not
now
this
she's
episode, but yeah.
so now she's going through. Now she's having to take care of him, and it's kind of like, I would say in some ways it's kind of like me with my mom over. Um, it's gosh, it's almost coming up on a year, just in about a week. It will be a
Oh
year
wow.
since my mom died. But I was taking care of her for 2 years,
Right.
and because uh, she got ALS during the whole COVID outbreak, is when she got diagnosed with it. It was uh, you know
COVID.
during
Yeah.
COVID, which that just made her having to go. She hated going to the hospital.
Hmm.
She hated having to go overnight. And when I took her, because people were thinking that she had a seizure or something like that, or like
Oh yeah.
something, so that because her speech was slurred, and I take her to the hospital, and they're like, "Well, you can't come in." And
Yeah.
so I had to. They're like, "We're going to keep her overnight," and and so it's just like they just whisper away and everything, and I just had to go home. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you go through all that, and so it's like Ellie now with Joel, like he's injured, and she's had to go through a whole lot more than I necessarily did, but she had to stitch him up, and she had to find all that stuff, and now she's found the penicillin and got the
Hmm.
penicillin in him. And I think one, she's tired, and two, she doesn't want to
Yeah.
leave him. And so she's just, and I think she's really to the point where it's like, this is kind of a dad figure, a father figure to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and so she just lays down next to him because it's a thing of comfort.
Hmm.
I know that, like with my dad, I could go, it's like, younger, it's like go even into my 20s, because, it's 20s and early 30s. My dad died when I was 34. Um,
Oh. Okay.
yeah, 34, 33, 34. I'm trying to think. It just, but, like up until that point, I could just go and lay next to him, and it was extremely comforting. Yeah.
Hmm.
To where and my headset just disconnected again.
No. No way.
Just a second. Let's see. Where's my? I don't know why it's disconnecting.
It's a Monday. Are you good now? You can hear? Okay. Okay. Maybe it's a power saving option you got. Like turn it off after 30 minutes or something. Because I know that one of my headsets would turn off if there's no audio playing. Is a power saving feature that I had. So maybe it's something akin to that. I don't know. Sucks. But yeah, it was a really cool moment. You know, I thought too, not just being a beautiful moment, but Joel did have probably every single blanket, so it would be warm to actually sleep, like lay on him. Oh, crud.
Is it going to pick up there? Okay. Well, I hope it picked up half my audio. Gosh. When I was
I
testing
mean,
earlier, it was
yeah, on my side, I've been able to hear you the entire time. So,
okay.
but I'm not listening to this on anything else. So I don't know if your Streamlabs is picking you up or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I noticed it was fine earlier, so I'm just kind of like, I think my headset's disconnected. So this is great. Um, no, so anyway, so it's very important. I think Ellie's really kind of got to that father father daughter moment with Joel. That putting like he's probably super warm because he's also fighting an infection, but also he has all the blankets on him, and she lays her head on his chest, and it's probably extremely comforting to her to be able to do that. And I think that's something also in general is human connection. It's like you give a hug to anybody that you really care about, it just feels better. Like if you give a hug to somebody you really don't care about, it's like, oh well, I wrap my hands around somebody you care about them. There's something more there, and so Ellie, there's something more there. And I think that's probably something that's very important to the show, is that she has to get to that point and he has to get to that point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what happened in the video game as well, was the relationship, and that's something we've been talking about since our first podcast episode is, I wonder how this is going to work out and what the point A to point B for the relationship is going to be like.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that we got to that point here in this episode, because even though I know some people were complaining, not going to name names at all, but some people on Twitter, that's all I'm going to say, were saying, we need more Joel. There's not enough Joel in here. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, like, did you guys not play the game? Because this is actually how this episode should have been, and how it should have gone, right? This was akin to like episode 1, where it's about 90% Joel and maybe 10% Ellie. If that's, Ellie was really not in episode 1 much at all.
Yeah.
And now she's gone the previous episode, and now she's the star of this one. Her and David and James are like the big ones.
She's really been the main person the past 2 episodes.
Yeah. And next episode, I'm assuming it's going to be a very split down the middle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like when we had like the episode with Tommy and all the Joel meeting Tommy. It should be pretty even, but what was the next thing? Was it where Ellie wakes up in the morning, hears the guys, and then takes the horse out? Was that the next part?
So so she takes takes that, and then she goes. Let's see. She notices that they're there, and so she goes down and tells Joel, people are here, they're going to kill us, I need you to, I don't remember what she said, but she gives him a knife. If somebody comes
she says, like, you need to wake up. You need to go.
You need to wake up. If somebody comes through that door, you have to kill them.
And you can see Joel's eyes are maybe 20% open. Like you could tell, like, he's listening. He knows it. He's probably thinking, like, can I even get up right now?
Yeah.
But he's there. He's holding a knife, and Ellie goes and puts like a bookshelf or something behind the door to kind of conceal the fact that there's a basement there. And then opens up the garage door. I really like that garage door, by the way. I think it's best when you just open them like that. Better than electronics, because they could screw you over, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, off on the horse, which I thought, I had one thought during the episode, which is, where on earth are they getting the stuff to feed this horse? Like all the grains and everything. But anyways, I digress. It is what it is.
I'm sure she can feed, like, let go and feed on the grass or something that's popping up through the
something. Yeah.
The neighborhood's probably not been mowed for a while, so
could be like 20 years. True. But yeah, and then her plan is to lead them away from the house.
Yeah.
Right.
So she rides the horse. Well, she takes a couple of shots to get their attention. And And I don't know if she was trying to hit them, but hitting somebody.
She was flailing that gun like this, so I don't know what she was trying for. Warning shots, probably.
Yeah, because I know, like, everybody. I'm not a gun expert or anything like that, but anybody I know, it's hard to hit somebody from standing 25 yards out. Now riding a horse.
Yeah, we're going to be bouncing like this.
You're getting bouncing and everything, and her, you couldn't hit any. You would have a hard time hitting anything. It would be pure luck. But then she starts booking it off. That's when James, I don't know, starts to try to, I don't know, cut her off or whatever.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would say is this is another part where there's 4 or 5 of them, right? There's like the group of the guys there.
So I think there's 4 of them total. So David.
Yeah, and David's big thing is alive. Keep her alive. I want her alive.
Yeah, there was 5 of them. So David, James, and then 3 thugs, I guess you would say.
Yeah, just random people.
And yeah, I want her alive, and that's it goes back to David has plans.
Oh yeah, yes he does.
He has intentions, and they are not good intentions.
No.
James gets to a point, shoots and kills the horse.
Which sends Ellie flying about 10-15 feet off that horse, face first into the snow.
Knocks her out. They are ready to kill her. Like, the rest of the guys are ready to kill her. James is ready to kill her. He's like, just do it, just do it, just do it. And that's when David's like, no, leave her, let her live. Which
really is starting to bug James at this point.
Yeah.
You can see that he's still going to debate, but man, he is like this close. This close, just pulling the trigger on her.
So yeah, this whole part, like from here to really the end of the show is so much more action oriented than the rest of the series has been so far.
Yeah.
They take Ellie away. This is where you see Joel, even at 20%, is better than all these guys.
It's able to take them out. So the other guys, after David picks up Ellie, who is still unconscious at this point, carries her away, and he's like, hunt the other guy down. So they all spread out to cover this neighborhood, really.
Yeah, go search through it.
Yeah, that's where one of the guys, he's like, it took a little while. He almost didn't see it. So Ellie almost did a perfect job of finding Joel.
Connected again.
Oh gosh.
Stupid headset. I don't know why it's having issues today. Can you hear me just fine?
I can. Okay. Yeah, so this is the part where I was saying that, Ellie almost fully conceals that there's a door to the basement there, but the guy does manage to see it, pushes it, and we get a little view of kind of like from Joel's perspective, where he can hear the guy walking around, and then hears that I'm just going to call it a bookshelf, pushes it out of the way, so you can hear that grinding on the wood. And Joel, we don't see it, but that's where he's got to be moving over to his little hiding spot. And the guy slowly walks down the steps, and then Joel just leaps out and uses the knife that Ellie gave him, and manages to take him down.
Stabs him in the neck. And this is one thing I noticed, and they actually do point it out. Joel hangs on to the guy. Because Joel doesn't have much energy at this moment.
No, he is so messed up. Like you're saying, like 20%, if that. It's enough to stand up and do light physical movements. But he can kind of curl himself here and there to actually, do what he needs to do.
And just basically rides the guy down as the guy falls to the ground, slowly dying. And, like I said, this is where you see Joel's violence. Yeah, like his capability of violence. You see a little bit, like he's a good shot with the rifle and everything, like in episode, is that 5? When he's shooting all the zombies and everything.
Yeah, it's gotta be episode 5. Yeah, because 4 would be where we find out about the town, right?
Yeah, so
that would have been 4. Yeah,
episode 5, he gets, does that, and then this one, like, he's capable of being really sneaky and quiet, and then he's brutal. Because that's when he goes, and the other 2 guys, they're searching for him. He finds them, knocks one out, and then the scene comes. The guy's like, "Hey, what you doing? You there?" And he sees his friend knocked out, turns his head to see Joel just coming at him with the butt of a gun and just whack. Knock
him out.
And so it's like a lot of this stuff is like Joel did really, like he's violent. He's violent. He's totally capable of that violence. And that's where it goes. Like it's like I was saying, like this whole show almost went 1 for 1 with the game, except for like with David talking with Ellie. There was no zombie or clicker and bloater encounter. Where in the game you have that encounter, and then in and then I don't think they show like David at the first reading the scripture. You don't really meet David until in the game, until like actually Ellie first meets David. But other than that, it's like here's Joel comes in. He's got these 2 guys tied up. Tell me where we are. Tell me where she's at. Like.
It was. It was so fun because I forgot about that scene until it started up, and I was like, "Oh, I remember this. I remember this." And I thought they did a really good job. He puts the knife, the same one again, puts in the guy's mouth after he's like stabbing him in the knee and all this kind of stuff, like that sort of torture stuff. Then like you're saying, tell me where we are, and then tell me where this place is, because initially the guy says it's whatever town, but it's not a real town. It's actually what's the word for it again? Right. Yeah, ski lodge. Yeah, a little resort sort of town.
Yeah.
Similar to where I live, except not a ski one. It's a lake and everything. But vacation towns, they're great.
Yeah, vacation town. You're on vacation all the time.
Woo! Everybody's happy around here during the summer. But so Joel ends up killing the guy after he gave him the information, and then you have the other guy saying, "Why'd you do that? You didn't have to do that. He told you where he is." And that's what Joel says. And this is where you can think of him as an anti-hero or a villain or whatever you want. He's definitely not innocent. He says, no, I thought he was telling the truth. And then proceeds to most likely kill that guy too. It doesn't really cuts out and goes to
yeah, it goes to
the next thing.
You hear
it's implied anyway. Yeah. It's implied.
Yeah, I believe him. You know, like boom, like yeah, I guess he's just like the guy was afraid that I was going to kill him anyway. And he was going to say anything to, you know, I think that ultimately as it comes down to like he's like people will say anything to try to stay alive. So, and we saw that in episode 4. The guy that gets the, you know, like the guy's like, I'll do anything, blah, blah, blah. I won't tell anybody you're here, blah, blah, blah. You know, like I'll do this and that and blah, blah, blah. Just let me live, let me live, let me live.
Yeah.
And I think Joel, just from his experience with the world, is you don't let these people live.
No loose ends kind of thing. Better be safe than sorry. I mean, it's I guess it's a way for survival, right? You can't really trust anybody, but it's one of those things where, like I said, you can think of Joel however you want to. If he's a hero, if he's not a hero, I look at him as like a guy that's just out there. He's doing the best he can, but at the same time, you gotta do bad things if you want to stand the best chance of surviving in this messed up world that they live in.
Yeah.
But those kind of parts like that scene, like the torture stuff, it always makes my skin crawl. I'm like, Joel, do you have to do this? Like, it's so bad, man. This is not what like a hero in a video game is supposed to be.
Do I go into your medical side of stuff and say, did he pop off the guy's kneecap properly?
I tell you what, it would have been extremely painful. Extremely painful what Joel did. So I get it. Like I could only imagine how brutal that would have been. But
yeah, that I joke about it, you know, and I think, you know, like I know you kind of have your things with your work and everything else, but you know, it does come in benefit for you with stuff like this. You can go into detail that I wouldn't know about. It's kind of like the penicillin thing. I would have been Ellie. It's
I have no idea how to do it. I would have been looking at me like I don't have the supplies that I should have to do this properly. This is going to be messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the one other thing I was thinking of when I was watching the episode was how much time are they going to let pass after Ellie administers the penicillin first to when Joel is going to be like, you know, when the fever's going to wear off. And I do feel like it happened pretty quickly. It should not have. He should not have recovered that quickly, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it would have made it a lot worse.
Yeah,
like it's been not even a day. I don't think it was like one night.
A day, maybe 2, maybe 2 at most. Depending on how long it took them to track her to where she's at, because they went home and said we're going to track her the next day. So it's at least a day.
It could have been like the afternoon when they found. Oh no, this is pretty bright out. At least you know for the scene, it looked like it was high noon, like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock maybe. If it's winter time, actually it's probably like 1 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah. So it could, you know, like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but yeah, Ellie gets there. You know, Joel, obviously we went through all this. Joel goes into brutal mode. And then
pretty gross.
Then we're kind of, you know, I know they kind of go back and forth, which sometimes makes it hard to actually, well, first they go here and then they go here and then they go here and then they go here. But so now we go to Ellie and her interactions with David. And this is where you see really how evil David actually is. from here to
Yeah.
the end of the show, like how devious and evil he is as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Because he comes in and he starts talking with Ellie.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can tell you're smart. And like me, I can tell you have a dark side.
Yeah. There's like violence to your heart, I think is how he put it.
Yeah. And it's you know, it's one of those where Ellie's not necessarily, and she can't necessarily deny that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you know, like it goes to what I've said, like Ellie has a certain amount of power with her intelligence, and David has a certain amount of power with his intelligence.
Yeah.
So with power, you know, you can either oppress other people and become a tyrant,
Mm-hmm.
or you can use that power and still have people follow you, but you lift everybody up with you. You know, and Ellie has the ability, and sometimes, you know, I think all of us in some way have a thing where we can be violent. You know, you're like, oh, you know, like there's how many times in your head that you've never said out loud, like, I could kill that person right now. You know, like just something horrible. Yeah, like you know, everybody's done it. Nobody's really innocent of it. You know, obviously some people go a whole lot further, and those people usually go to prison.
Yeah. At some point, either go to prison or they kill themselves usually. But yeah.
And so here's David, and he's really kind of admitting, like one, I manipulate the people of this town to follow me. It gives me so much joy to have power over these people.
Yeah.
But I want somebody to share that power with.
Yeah. And he goes into this little recruiting phase kind of thing. Like, typical, well, I say typical because we play so many video games and we watch so many like movies and stuff. And we're like, yeah, typical villain finally kind of shows his true colors. I mean, I thought it was a good scene, very well acted on that guy's part, because you could get the feeling like he's not that bad, right? And for anyone that has not played the video game, this probably would have been a huge like, whoa, what the heck kind of moments.
Yeah.
Of not really seeing that, like not to that degree. Because Ellie starts to get closer to the cage, and then she notices, because she's really good at picking things up, that there's like an ear on the ground.
Yeah.
Because the guy also, goes and brings her some food too, which she rebukes horribly.
Like, no, I'm not going to eat that.
No. Yeah, because what's this say? He's like, I promise this is venison or something like that, right? And she's just like, no, bro, I'm not going to eat anything from you.
Yeah.
Nothing.
She's like, you're killing people. You're eating people. Well, you know, and
you don't do that.
Just like almost all of us do, although he's doing an extreme case, he justifies it.
Yeah, where he said we were getting hungry, we got really low on supplies. The year has been really horrible for crops, and because it's been so cold, like such a brutal winter, that game has been hard to come by.
Yeah.
That was his excuse for the whole thing. I believe it was like, not really word for word, don't paraphrase this, but it came to that. But yeah, like you said, he justifies it. You know, and the worst part is, at the beginning of the episode, you have that girl that's absolutely distraught that her dad was murdered, which we find out that was the group that we saw 2 episodes ago at the tail end of it. The one that actually hurt Joel. So that guy died. What I'm gathering is they took his body back, probably put it in that spot and like chopped it up and served it to everybody. Because when the girl says, well, can we do funeral, can we bury my dad? He says, well, no, we can't do that now, but maybe in the springtime.
Yeah,
Which leads me to believe eventually you think that everyone would find out in this colony that they have
yeah,
that this is what's happening, because he also admits that only the ones that are closest to him know what is really happening, such as with James. But yeah, like the little girl there probably knew absolutely nothing of what is really going down.
She's just angry, and he, he slaps her, and that was one thing. Like, he slaps the girl, like,
oh yeah, like the whole we don't do revenge thing kind of deal, because he's trying out his. It's just the part where it's so horrible that you're a snake that's hiding behind this cloak of like the Bible of religion, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely evil.
And that's that's like I said, it's just like he takes his power and he uses it for evil, which I said that's a horrible, not like a religious person trait or anything. It is a horrible human trait that we will do that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. You see the power that he has over the people because he slaps the girl and says, "You always will have a daddy. Like, I'm your daddy," type of thing. And the mom starts to get up and like do something. And he kind of, no, you sit back down. And she sits down. He has control over these people. He has fear in their hearts with these people, and and so he goes through all that, but when he's talking to Ellie and he asks Ellie her name, he doesn't find out her name right off. She, F you, and all this type of stuff. And that's where Ellie starts to actually in some way like outsmart him and manipulate him, because she can tell he's trying to sweetheart me or whatever. He's trying to
because there's the one part where she's still in the cage and he puts his hand out. Part of it's a whole recruiting thing, and she's like, oh, and then she puts her, because she already had her hand on there, so she puts on top. And then she puts the other one and like breaks his finger. I think it was. I can't remember what she did. But then he like slams her into the cage and breaks her nose.
Yeah. And that's where she's she's like, yeah, you can tell him that Ellie is the one that broke your finger. Like she's.
She's going into like a primal rage kind of thing. She's so angry.
And this is really where you start to see the, I don't know, at first kind of controlled anger, but then that fearful anger. Because, he leaves, he comes back with James. And is going to, like, he's just like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. He's going to butcher her.
He finally got to the point of, instead of being able to talk to her into doing something to help out with the colony and all that, and especially help him out, he gives up. And now he's angry because now he's actually been hurt.
Yeah.
And I get the impression that probably not a lot of people actually did that to him, probably because that fear that you're talking about kept them from doing stuff. I only got probably maybe 20 minutes. She just started to whine a little bit. So
okay. So we'll just kind of like, I guess we can. So this comes through with one of the more prominent deaths in the show. They get her up on the table. She says, "I'm infected," and now you're infected too because she bit him.
Oh yeah. I love that part. I love that part. That was wonderful. And he doesn't believe her on that bluff. But James, on the other hand, is like, no, that looks like an actual infection. That can't be fake.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of like in between. He's like, no, cat, no. You know, like
You would have turned by now, I swear.
yeah, like you would have turned and everything, and you know he puts the slams the butcher knife against the next to her head, which
Yeah.
would have been terrifying, and then like I can't remember, they tried to hold her down and everything. That's when she grabs the butcher knife and just
Butcher knife over to James, right?
and catches James like right in the neck. That tall glass of water goes up and dies. And he was I know he was quite proud of how he died in the game. Or in the show. He was quite proud of how he died in the show, because he's like and like drops down. And this is what I kind of like in the game. Ellie has to, like, you have to transverse through the city, running around the town and everything. And I thought it kind of makes sense. She's in the kitchen area anyway, and so they put her right into, I don't know, the restaurant area, the seating area, and there's a little cat and mouse type of chasing around. Ellie gets into the kitchen area and just pulls out a knife out of the kitchen. And then first she finds like something, I don't remember, like a stick that's on fire or something like that. And
because it's a big resort, so
probably out of the fireplace or something. Throws it at it, misses.
But hits
runs away, hits the drape, sets the drape on fire, setting the scene.
I thought this scene was really good because it was like very video game-y, like definitely something that I could see happening in a video game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, when do we get like the suspense? We've only had that a couple times in the TV show. We had it in episode 2 where they're getting around the clickers and everything, and then we had it a little bit like when we had Henry and Sam, right?
Yeah.
A couple moments of that. But it'd been a couple episodes where we didn't have much, and then we get this one, and it's full blown Ellie out of control because Joel isn't around. So we don't have like Joel where we think we got this big strong guy. Instead we have Ellie where I thought it was the first time in this series where you get the feeling of she is dangerous, but at the same time, if he grabs hold of her, what's going to happen kind of deal.
Yeah.
So very, very cool dynamic, I thought.
Yeah, so she stabs him, which causes him to throw the butcher knife that he had. And then he knocks her away, which knocks her down. And, just like in the video game, she sees the butcher knife and it's trying to move away. She gets to the point where it's just barely in reach of her. Like, she has to stretch for it. And, he's getting ready to... I don't even, it's like, I don't know what, Twitch, but he's getting ready to do very inappropriate things with her. He's going to, his intent is...
It's one of the bad words. He's going to do that. And the part that he says about how I like the struggle, I love that feeling of power in this moment. I was like, bro, you are so bad. And I like how this show portrayed that section. Because it's one of those things where if you do it wrong, you could probably anger like everybody in the universe about this.
Yeah.
Because it's such a sensitive topic, and probably one that a lot of people, when they think of The Last of Us, they don't think of that part of The Last of Us. Kind of like how I forgot about Joel torturing those guys. And then I was like, oh man, that's right. There's some really dark topics. And this episode, I thought did a really good job at, and not going too deep with that because I didn't want to see or any of that stuff. Don't worry, it'll be in a couple minutes. She just jumped up. But yeah, and then Ellie goes into that rage mode.
Yeah.
Which I thought she went so unhinged, and I was actually really impressed with the show of showing her like because she grabs the weapon and kills the guy, gets him off of her because he's like on top about to do horrible things. But dude, she must have stabbed that guy with the knife like I don't know 20-30 times. Like,
yeah, she.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, because she's just like like going. Like that was. I am terrified, and here is my violence. Yeah, like terrified violence and almost a thing of anger. Like you were going to do something to me, and I'm going to, like, you're not going to survive this. Like,
not a chance. I mean, thankfully they didn't show a shot of what he would look like. Because dude, after that many times, because was that the butcher knife or something?
Yeah, it was the butcher knife.
Or like a machete or whatever.
Yeah,
like he would have been like pieces, maybe not even recognizable or something. If she did to the face, like he would have been broken into. But one part that we missed out on before we do like the finale was how Joel, after getting the directions of where to go, he himself goes into that one room and sees like the headless bodies and stuff like that. So he knows what is going on, and his reaction to that was for me so disheartening because it's one of those things where he's like, I recognize this right away. I know what these people are doing out here because they had the dead horse, or maybe it wasn't the horse, maybe it was actually the deer. I can't remember.
It was the horse.
It was the horse.
Brought the horse.
So they see the horses all together, but then you see these hanging upside down bodies without their heads and everything, going to show like you could be using actual like you could not be cannibals. You could be normal-ish people with this, even though that was a fresh kill. But at the same time, it's like you've been doing this for a long time because there's quite a few bodies there. So this wasn't new to this colony. It's been happening for a while.
Yeah, it's been at least over that summer. So really, like the episode is about to end. Ellie, probably gets David's keys and is able to get out of the restaurant because he kind of said it was locked up and she couldn't get out. So she gets out, obviously completely distraught. I mean, so many mentally hard things happened to her all at once. She was about to get the big R, and she just brutally murdered somebody.
She'd been through enough stuff where some people would never recover from that. Like that is beyond traumatic.
So there's so many disturbing things that she just went through within we'll say like a 5-minute period of time, and she comes out, blood on her face, just probably completely in a daze.
She's also been breathing in smoke for a few minutes too, and that's gonna mess up with your oxygenation to your brain too. So she's not doing good.
Yeah, she's just like, she probably like, when you start seeing stars or whatever, she's probably there. And Joel comes behind
probably to the point of like she's gonna puke or something or pass out or both.
Yeah, probably.
It's a natural response.
Probably really close to that. And Joel, it's like I don't know. I think I probably get a little emotional on this part. Joel comes up behind her, and first he kind of grabs her, and she turns around and
from behind to get her attention.
Yeah.
She's screaming. like get off of me.
Yeah,
And
get
all
off
this
me.
stuff.
But when she sees him, she hugs him.
Yeah.
You know,
Completely human response, man.
you know, and then he hugs her, and that's when it's like you see that he sees her as a daughter now, which is really
Yeah.
like I say, it's really important to understand this for the next episode.
Yeah.
But he calls her baby girl, which
Yeah.
last time he said that was his daughter.
Yeah. It was beautiful. Like the ending there, that last scene is. See, that's the part that I would watch like 100 million times. I would skip over the other parts because it's so gross. But this part here is like absolutely beautiful. You know, he's saying, yeah, don't worry, I'm here, it's me. And then he does say baby girl, and that's her. My heart just melts. Because
Well,
this is just fantastic.
And that's really what I've found, like, whether it's, you know, the Uncharted series and definitely The Last of Us. Like you said, well, I could watch this last part all the time. But, you know, I think the games, like life, you have to go through the trials to fully appreciate the benefits of things. And
True. Yeah, the payoff wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't have the weight to it.
So seeing her go through all of that, like normally in their stuff, it's like good things happen, and then they take it away. You know, they kill somebody off. This was all this crap happened to Ellie just within that short period of time, and that's when they give you something.
Yeah.
And
makes you want to come back for the next episode, right?
It's so, you know, like you said, like that part is just like you're like, oh, I could watch that over again, because it's like him saying baby girl to her after all that,
and the softness in his voice too.
Yeah,
like the delivery was just fantastic. Yeah, okay,
and so yeah, so it was I really enjoyed the episode. I think they did
me
a
too.
great job with the content.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in some ways, sometimes I'd like to see more of the clickers or whatever, but I think they do a good job with not having them in there. Like it's kind of an ongoing threat, but you know, like they're not there. You know, it's like it's not always there. Okay, so let's go after, like, what would you rank this? You know, 0 through 10.
This is probably one of my favorites, even though it did have the disturbing parts to it. I would give this one probably like a 9.5 or something like that. Like it's almost. I felt that they didn't do anything wrong, and that they expanded upon everything from that section that has so many serious dark topics in it. Giving a little bit more story to David, to James, which I don't think James was necessarily much of a person in the video game.
Yeah,
But you know, I thought it was great. I thought it was really great. The pacing of the episode was really good. There was nothing really wrong with it. Like I just don't like giving out 10s because I feel like, what if the next episode is better, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, sometimes like a 10 is like, dude,
it's a masterpiece, right?
Yeah,
so I would go like, it's not necessarily perfect, but yeah, it was really good.
I think anytime they give something a 10, I don't think there's anything out there, or even like video games and other shows and movies and everything, that they're like, yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. Like, no.
You know, I've actually bought games just because they reviewed on IGN like 10, and then I play, I'm like, this isn't like the best game ever.
Yeah.
And sometimes I actually get really disappointed with the purchase, but like the indie games, I don't trust a 10 out of 10 on an indie game, because chances are it won't hit with me. But
a 10 out of 10 would be like, this is like, there's no other way that you could do this without ruining it. Like that, like
Yeah, and in that case, this episode would probably be like a 10 for me then, because I don't think they could have done anything more to make it even better. Like, I just thought it's really, 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 really good.
yeah, I'll agree with you, and I'll say like it's probably like I know IGN gave it a 9. I would give it at least 9.5.
Yeah.
Easily pushing more towards the 9.5 because it's like, yeah, there maybe could have been a little bit more of certain things,
Mm.
but ultimately, like and that's what takes it. It's like they could have done a little bit more here or there, like just like itty bitty things, but other than that, it was extremely well put together. Which I would say for this whole series, this whole show as a whole, is really extremely well put together. And they take the original content, pay high attention to it, but for the most part, just add to it and not take away from it.
Yes. Yeah. Because the only things that they're skipping over is like your puzzles that you have of how do we get Ellie onto this whole platform and get her over there. Like, thank goodness they weren't doing that. Because that's what really slows it down. But they're getting all those high points that we see in the show or in the video game. I mean,
yeah,
it's really interesting to find out what they're going to do for next episode. Because one of the guys I was talking to on Twitter before we went live here, he told me that apparently the runtime for the last episode is going to be about 45 minutes.
Really?
That's what he said. Yeah. Because initially I was like, oh yeah, it'll probably be like the first or the third episode where they're like an hour and change. But he said that HBO already announced the runtime is going to be, he said 43. I was like, that will be fast. So I don't know. You could take a look into that, let me know later on Twitter or something like that. But that's what he told me.
Yeah,
and I know that he's been tweeting out how he likes the show quite a bit. So I know he's keeping up to it. Because I told him that I don't go into episodes knowing how long they are or watch like trailers for. I like to go in with like a fresh mind,
Yeah. Let's see if they have. Wow.
Yeah, that's what you told me.
Gaming Intel says it'll be just 43 minutes.
There you go. So it's actually going to be, I would say that's like the shortest episode then of the entire season.
Yeah, it'll be definitely.
So usually like 50 or 55. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it in 43 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, and, it's like where this one was Joel being very violent. This one's going to be Joel being very violent.
Is he going to start throwing some like grenades or something like what we get in the game? A flamethrower maybe?
Because there will be stuff with Ellie, but there's going to be probably a whole lot more with Joel.
You would think so. You would think so. But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. We're only 6 days away from the finale.
I know it. So, yeah, we'll do this, and then it'll be interesting. But I guess we'll say thank you for anybody that came by or is watching this on YouTube, and we will continue this conversation next week.